Welcome to She Leads Collective, a talk show where we turn the spotlight inward onto the brilliant minds behind leadership and coaching. All right, so we finished the last three of us, and now it's time to get to our last coach and colleague, the leader, whom I simply love, Tiffany Friend. So her theme for today's discussion today's discussion would be clarity in chaos and theme navigating leadership with purpose. Tiffany, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Tiffany. So I would like to introduce our dearest Tiffany. Meet Tiffany Friend, a strategic business and HR leader with a background in local government, utilities, and trades, who blends sharp business acumen with a grounded human touch. Known for her unwavering presence and resilience, she uplifts teams and clients with wisdom rooted in experience. Whether coaching leaders or exploring nature to recharge, Tiffany leads with grit, grace, and clarity, always setting the tone for purposeful action and authentic leadership. Tiffany and I often dream together of bold, empowered women weaving brilliance into the world. And that's what made a big connection. And we simply love that piece of empowering women. What we imagine co creating shines as brightly as a smile. So I call her my sunshine. So she's seen it all and carried her toughest seasons with resilience, turning challenges into momentum. Her leadership isn't just about calm within, but radiates beyond her, touching everyone she leads and coach. So here we welcome my smile, the sunshine, Tiffany Friend. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you so much, Yusna. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Tiffany. You deserve it all. So let's begin where inner clarity meets the real world leadership. So you say change starts from within. So what is that one mindset shift that helps leaders grow?
Well, I think one of the most powerful shifts that I see is just moving from control to curiosity. So I think leaders often feel a lot of pressure to have all the answers and fix things really quickly. And so in their growth, if they can start to pause and ask questions and really seek to understand the full picture of what's happening around them or in front of them, just getting that clarity before they determine how to move forward, I think is so important. And then in moving forward, really being intentional about how they're developing themselves and their teams through that process. And then another shift that I think is really powerful. I know you asked for one, but there's one more that I just use all the time, which is assume good intent. So when you believe people are doing their best and given their own unique experiences, resources, and pressure, I think it builds trust and it really diffuses situations and any tension that might be there. And that said, I come from an HR background, so assuming good intent doesn't mean ignoring poor behavior or performance, but it just means starting from a place of belief rather than a place of blame. And if someone isn't showing up with that integrity or effort, a curious leader can vet that through an honest dialogue and accountability and not from a place of assumptions or judgment. So really paired together that curiosity and assuming good intent, I think it just opens the door to better decisions and stronger relationships and a real leadership presence.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Clarity, intentionality makes a hell lot of a difference. And being a HR leader, of course, we understand what's coming along. And because we add a lot of human touch to everything what we do,
Mhm.
I think definitely I agree to when you say clarity, intentionality definitely makes a difference. All
Yeah.
right, so let's move on to our next question, Tiffany. How can leaders encourage curiosity instead of quick judgment when times are rough?
Yeah, I think that starts with modeling the behavior. So, as leaders, when we admit that we don't have the full picture and we invite others into our process, I think that creates a psychological safety for others to be vulnerable as well, to show where, they might need to ask more questions or be lead a little bit more curiously. And so instead of reacting, really slowing down and responding with intention, kind of back to how I answered the last question. And, I often say if you can stay curious under pressure, you'll lead with more insight and way less regret, right? So even if something as simple as, tell me about your perspective on this, or how did you get to that outcome or that recommendation? Show me, how you thought through this so I can understand how you got there, really with the intent of just being curious and not judging it. I think it's a really beneficial to kind of stay there and work through your team in that way, so that again you're understanding where their thinking might be different than yours, and sometimes there's more than one way to get to an outcome, so you can't assume. So modeling, and then as you're showing that behavior, it's showing how you're getting to the root of the misalignment quicker, and maybe they will go practice that with their teammates and clients and other people that they run into.
Absolutely. It's basically non-judgmental, being
Yeah.
like good support, you know?
Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you, Tiffany.
Uh-huh.
So, going to our next segment, it is navigating complexity and real impact. So, you've worked in local government and private businesses. What helped you handle the differences and the challenges?
Oh boy, so those worlds completely different. Moving from local government into a fast-paced startup-like environment, it really, really pushed me as a leader. It taught me how to honor the ecosystem I'm in. So really just understanding what you're working with, what their realities are. In local government, it was focused on utilities and essential service, and things move very slowly. But the stakes are really high, and everything's in the public eye. And so you have to make sure you get things right. And so in that environment, it taught me patience, collaboration, how to serve the public good with really long-term impact in mind. Whereas in the trades, things move really fast and resources are tight, the people are gritty. So you really earn trust in that space, from my perspective, by just jumping in there and doing the hard things that nobody really likes to do, and really helping to provide some clarity and structure to the chaos, I think has been really beneficial. Um, so I also helped my husband manage his tree care business on the side of my local government work. So as I went into where I have currently been serving as an HR leader, I had kind of that blend of both worlds, that contractor grit and that government utility space. And so it gave me a unique perspective, especially in an industry where both sides really have to work together in partnership. And so what helped me bridge the gap to kind of answer the question is just adapting, staying grounded in people and purpose, all the time. No matter what the pace, the pressure, the politics were, if I always thought about the people and the purpose, that always kept me right on track. And as a coach, I really like to help people stay grounded in those two things.
Well, that's awesome that you had the support of your family. Like you did help your husband as well as, were able to take care of the garment sector. So the transition between both was able to balance, and that comes with experience. And, that is what really helped you manage both of these things so well. That was
Yeah.
really awesome. Good share. So what does leading with clarity looks like in terms of chaos?
Hmm. So with that one, I think it's holding steady when everyone else is spinning. When clarity as a leader often sounds like, here's what I know, here's what matters right now, and here's how we should move forward. So it doesn't mean you have all the answers, but it just means that you bring that presence and that direction. It's an anchor of sorts, and I think that that's what people need in those situations, not so much a boss. um, a lot of times what people are lacking in that chaos is confidence, because you don't have all the information. And so if you can really stand behind them and motivate the team towards a direction, we're all in it together. And if we're all going the wrong direction, well, we're all in it together. We'll pivot another way if we need to. But at this moment, this is what we know and this is what we're going to do. So I think that that's really important, is to keep your wits about yourself and really hold the team down when everything's kind of flying up in the air.
Yeah. Looks like a recharge is required at that point.
Yeah.
All right, moving to our next segment, Tiffany. Here we're going to talk the coach in action. So when we talk about that, you have been a HR leader and a coach. What do you believe leaders lead more with who they are, not just with what they do?
So on that one, I think it starts with identity. And many leaders, I think they focus on execution, but they haven't paused to really think about how they show up. And I think that's really important, because if you as a leader understand your values, your strengths, your blind spots, then you can start to lead from a place of alignment and not just duty in the role. And that's really where the magic happens, right? It's not when leadership is just playing a role, but it's actually when it's an extension of themselves. Everybody can feel that authenticity and that real, just genuine desire to want to do well by the people in the business. And I think in coaching, that's one of the areas that really helps leaders, is just to discover that identity, uncover the truth of who they are and how that's brought forward, how other people are receiving that. We're all coaches and have been leaders, and we're all not perfect as well. And sometimes we have to revisit that often and hear feedback from our teams to see that, maybe we're not showing up the way we want to. And so I think it's just a really safe space for us to be able to have those conversations in a way that you can develop and grow and talk about your feelings about it. Because often as leaders, we can't talk about our feelings as much, at least some of us, me included. So in coaching, it's really nice to come to the table and say, oh man, my high D showed up today, if you're looking at DISC or something like that, and here's how it came across, and I don't think it was well received. And with a coach, you can really unpack what that looks like. So
Oh, wow. That's the advantage of being a HR leader or being a leader and a coach, because we have some tools that we can tap in and really utilize it. I think also sometimes we can give the same feedback to ourselves, because that's a place of self-awareness. And with that curiosity, things can change, right?
yeah, of
All
course.
right. So with the last round coming in, rapid fire. So let's wrap it up with a few quick reflections. Tiffany, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, what grounds you before high stake conversations?
Two things come to mind. So first, I always ground myself in the outcome that I want to create. And so in my thought process before going into something like that, it's, what does this person or this group of people need from me to be able to move forward in a proactive way or productively, right? And then that shifts the focus from pressure to purpose, because I'm not wanting to pressure an outcome. I really want to help kind of move things along. And then second, I go into what I call my snapshots in time. So I like to go out and go on adventures in the wild, and there's just moments that I've captured on some of these adventures that I can just take myself back to if I just really focus on it. And so before going into something that's high stakes or high pressure, I can just kind of meditate in that space for a few minutes and remember that moment and that feeling, and I go in very peaceful and calm. Yeah.
Well, that's what we need. That's called as recharge, right? So we need it.
Yeah.
All right. So next one is leader fuel, structure or flow.
Mm, this one's tough because I'm definitely more on the structure side when it comes to leading in business. But I think there needs to be flow, right? Creativity needs flow. So I think that structure gives flow a container to thrive in. So in my mind, it's both, because if you just have flow, and you don't have anywhere to put it, you know, you don't have any bumpers, it just kind of goes all over the place. But if you have a
Mhm.
little bit of structure, it can bounce off the walls and still stay creative, but you get to capture it in a more meaningful way.
Definitely. You know what's reminding me of the Candy Crush.
Oh, yeah, kind of like that.
All right. So going to the next one, your leadership legacy in 3 words.
Lead with heart.
Wow, absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh, well, thank you, Tiffany, for sharing the space and sharing a bit of your leadership and coaching with us. So, coming to a close, it was really awesome to have you and discuss few of the things with the audience and us. So, as I come to close, Tiffany shows us that leadership isn't about having all the answers, but asking the right questions. She brings calm, clarity, and heart to every space she enters. Thank you, Tiffany, for helping leaders lead through chaos with purpose and grace. Thank you.